Greetings, class. My name is Stephen von Kaas, and today we will be talking about coral reefs and the benefits they have to offer. I guess we'll start out with the benefits first. So the first benefit I have that coral and coral reefs offer is the jobs and the income. Just alone, the Great Barrier Reef, which is located off the coast of Australia, brought in a $1.5 billion revenue. Just Australia alone brought that in. That's pretty dang impressive. Now that's one benefit. Let's look at the most important thing I would consider habitat. Let's say, for a perfect example right here, as I have displayed on my screen, you have a habitat. Now, without this coral reef and the coral, you would not have this habitat. This is a perfect example of a food chain. So we have our small fish. I don't know if you can see that, but these are damsels. These are actually clownfish. It's in the damsel family. Okay, so those are kind of on the bottom of the food chain, I guess you could say. It's a smaller fish. They're pretty aggressive though. And then right here on the left side of the screen, we have something called a snapper. It looks to be like a mud snapper or a red snapper. And then up here we have shark. Now shark are obviously going to be on the top of the food chain. Now, what I'm trying to point out is, if you do not have a coral reef, a place where many or thousands of mammals and different species thrive, you don't have none of this. So let's say this coral reef just disappears due to human error. Let's say your small fish, the fish on the bottom of your food chain, your shrimp or whatnot, disappear. Well, guess what else disappears? Your snapper disappear, as we have in this picture. Okay, so now your medium-sized fish are gone. That's your sharks and other higher animals in the food chain feed upon. Now those are gone. Where do you think the sharks go? The sharks disappear as well. So what I'm trying to say is, this acts like this is a food chain. It's a habitat. It's its own ecosystem where thousands of different species thrive. It's kind of like this way. It's kind of like a neighborhood where people live. A lot of people live in neighborhoods. What happens when you have a flood? Let's just say a flood or some kind of disaster comes in and wipes out your neighborhood. What happens? People are going to leave. Okay? So you have this big wasted space that cannot be habitated anymore. So I think that's one main benefit coral reefs have to offer, is a home to thousands of different species. Okay? It actually offers 25% of the marine life in the ocean belong or have come from a coral reef. Okay? Now let's talk about medicine. A lot of people don't know this or not, but a lot of medication actually comes from coral reef and is being studied that has potential of curing many diseases like cancer. That's pretty dang important. That can save lives, many lives. Okay, well, let's talk about food. Like I stated earlier, this is its own ecosystem. Okay, millions of fish come from this specific area. A lot of fish breed here. As juvenile fish, they grow up, and when they get bigger, they move out to the open seas. If we don't have this, if we eliminate this, where are a lot of people going to get food? You know what I mean? Like a lot of poor countries, let's say in Qatar. Okay, there's a very nice reef population over there. There is a lot of poor locals who live specifically off this type of ecosystem. What happens is all this stuff disappears. They're hungry. Where else are they going to get food? You know what I mean? So it's not just money that they get from this, it's food. Okay? Now, what can we do about this? I think the most important thing is to educate people. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm educating you guys on this. I'm sure you guys had no clue what a coral reef was. You guys probably thought, okay, it looks pretty. That's about it. Okay, that's nothing. You have to know more. You have to know how we benefit off this and how the world benefits off this, okay? Let's get a little bit more organic with some of the things we use. I know a big problem is sunblock. Especially in the state of Florida, you have thousands of snowbirds coming down here from New York, Michigan, Canada, wherever, even Europe, and they all lather themselves up with sunscreen, because they look like pieces of drywall. Well, where does that sunscreen go? It goes into the ocean. It's an oil-based substance. That's horrible. Okay, that's what that kills. Things like that kill. Okay, that's pollution. I covered that in my last speech. Okay. Now, what are the consequences of this? Okay, so here is, like I said earlier, here's a perfect example of what a healthy reef. Now let's show what a dead reef looks like. Okay, let's just compare the differences, shall we? So, like I said, healthy reef. Well, let me find the picture. Give me a second. Here's another picture of people living off of a coral reef. Look how gorgeous that is. Look at all the marine life it has. Okay. Now let's go here. Let's check out a dead reef. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see. You guys see this pretty good? Okay. Do you see any life?
Wow.
There's nothing. There's nothing there, except a human life. He's probably some kind of maybe a marine biologist or something, trying to figure out how this happened. So this is a perfect example on what happens when we do not try to help a coral reef. How are we going to benefit off this? How can anything benefit off this? Nothing can benefit off this. This is dead. This is a wasted space. Okay? It's like having a field and a bare field and not being able to put crops on it. There's no purpose of it. Okay? So, that's about all I have to offer for today. Hope you guys learned something from this, but we can definitely benefit from coral reefs. Okay?
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
You.